Well, thank you for gathering with us tonight for this very special occasion. And aren't we fortunate to be able to gather in this new Earhart facility? Isn't it beautiful? Yeah. So we really appreciate you coming on a cold winter night for an important reason, and that is to honor the service of Trustees Johnson, Kelly, and President Lazarus. These trustees have a combined 14 years of service on the Ann Arbor Public Schools School Board. I will share that they served during the COVID years, so I would suggest you multiply 14 by 100, and that would be a closer picture of the miles in trustee service that they have on them. They're looking pretty good, though, aren't they? Yeah, looking very good. An Indian proverb says it this way: blessed are those, I'm not going to make it through this, and I've been really working on it, guys. So, blessed are those who plant trees under whose shade they will never sit. That is the work of a trustee, is laying the foundation for our children and our children's children, for the future of quality public schools and for our community. So much of the work they do, they will not directly benefit from themselves, nor their children. And by the way, they have their beautiful children here tonight. And I shouldn't say children because they've all grown about a foot since I've seen them, and they're young people now. I want to just walk down through a little bit of history. Trustee Kelly joined the board just a couple of years ahead of Trustee Johnson and President Lazarus, but here are some of the highlights of the historic work that's been accomplished during their tenure. Governance leadership to achieve an historic open carry guns in schools legislation through the Supreme Court of the state of Michigan Supreme Court ruling affirmatively for the Ann Arbor Public Schools that school districts, not only Ann Arbor, but all districts in Michigan, have the right to ban guns from schools. Can we say hallelujah? Yeah. Governance and leadership for Policy 5011 in support of LGBTQ students in December of 2018. Trustee Kelly led that effort, and I remember attending sessions with her to learn, and we looked at districts all across the country, and our policy is progressive and among the best anywhere because of the work of the board. Yes. Her support of our focus on the science of reading, work that continues today. We still have lots of work to do. Leadership to repair and restore following the historic Allen flood. If you think about our history, guns and floods and pandemics, I mean, this is what trustees lead through, isn't it? But in the space of just 9 months, seeing that building repaired and children not only well cared for in their remote location, but returned to their location before the end of the year. Consistent leadership, advocacy, and service on the Ann Arbor Public Schools Board, and these trustees also serve in leadership roles in Washtenaw County, at the state level, and advocacy in Washington, D.C. The bride path re-envision to an international baccalaureate program. Our focus on equity in the Ann Arbor Public Schools has been going on for a long time, but has been deepened during the time of the service of these three trustees. Shortly after President Lazarus and Trustee Johnson joined the board, they didn't waste a minute. We were on the path to pass the second largest bond capital program in the history of the state of Michigan, the second largest and the largest in 25 years. And that passed directly as a result of the work of these three trustees. I tell you, not everybody knocks doors and does the on-the-ground work. I know these trustees knocked hundreds of doors, spoke to people all over our community. We are standing in this building, and our schools are in the midst of a 20-year re-envision of the setting for learning and updating that setting, and that is the direct result of the work of these three. Will you give them a hand for that? An environmental sustainability focused policy 8,000, environmental sustainability climate policy, environmental sustainability task force just a year and a half ago, and then now during the month of December we'll be passing, hopefully, an AAPS environmental sustainability framework. I do not know of another district our size in the country that has as comprehensive of a climate and sustainability focus and plan as we will have. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. Healthy drinking water, healthy air, COVID pandemic leadership and response. It is amazing the work that has gone on. I now realize that I have gone off script, Mr. Cluley. Please forgive me. I'm going to step to the right so that folks can see what was supposed to have been the first thing. But that's all good. Very good. Let's see it on video. Thank you, Andrew.
Ann Arbor Public Schools trustees Brian Johnson, Jessica Kelly, and Rebecca Lazarus have served a combined total of 14 years on the Board of Education. They have held leadership positions including board president, vice president, treasurer, parliamentarian, and chaired a host of board committees. This translates to hundreds of board and committee meetings and untold more meetings with individuals, families, and organizations, all in dedication to the students and families of Ann Arbor. It also means the sacrifice of missing many important events for their children and family, all for the benefit of the Ann Arbor Public Schools. Working together with the entire Board of Education, Trustees Johnson, Kelly, and Lazarus ensured the long-term future of our school buildings by winning community support for the 2019 bond proposal and then helping establish the bond committee and development of the first and second phases of planning. These trustees were committed to honoring the dignity of all by the development and ongoing implementation of a comprehensive equity plan, and through creation of a new policy and creation of parent support group for LGBTQ students. They provided educational leadership through the support of early literacy efforts, the re-envisioning of Bryant and Pattengill with an international baccalaureate focus, and the addition of IB career program diplomas at Huron High School. School safety has been stressed, with the AAPS policy prohibiting guns being upheld by the Michigan Supreme Court, and the district took a leadership role in establishing a water testing and filtration program with filtered water bottle filling stations installed in all schools. Their commitment to the environment shines through the Environmental Sustainability and Climate Board policy, which has been put into action by the creation of Environmental Sustainability Task Force and the Environmental Sustainability Framework to be approved this month. The work of Trustees Johnson, Kelly, and Lazarus not only is having a positive impact on Ann Arbor students, but through their advocacy and leadership across Washtenaw County, in Lansing, and in our national capital, they are making a difference in schools across the country. Many of these accomplishments came as the Board of Education helped guide the Ann Arbor Public Schools through the COVID-19 global pandemic, with schools forced to reinvent education on the fly at a time that left no options that everyone in the community liked or supported unanimously. For all of this work and thousands of other accomplishments, large and small, Trustees Johnson, Kelly, and Lazarus, thank you for your service and dedication.
Andrew Cluley and Scott Nadeau. Where are you, Scott? Wave at us. Give him a big hand. Nice job. There he is. And some other folks that I didn't mention. In addition to the highlights of the historic work to govern and move the school district forward on a long-term trajectory, there's also the priority work that these folks do every day in the support of our critical mission of teaching and learning and improving access, opportunity, and achievement for our students to ensure the health and wellness and quality staff to serve our students each day. Trustees Johnson, Kelly, and Lazarus have prioritized this critical mission. We call it the main thing, and they've kept the work of the board focused on the main thing. Can we say thank you for that? Yes. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that a trustee's job also involves the detail to support the day-to-day unglamorous, trust me, unglamorous, and unsung daily reports, committee work, follow-up that must be completed. In plowing through the committee and process work, these individuals become knowledgeable and adept at topics that you would not imagine. From A to Z, air quality, building condition, LED lighting, paving of parking lots, property analysis, rock salt, styrofoam, healthy water, and 1,000 other details. I thought perhaps we could play a game tonight where I would put up a photo of some item that no one in the room would know what it was, except for the trustees here. And I thought I would start with the pipe that blew up at Allen, which we have in my office, and only a few of us would know what that weird-looking item is. That's part of being a trustee. Trustees Johnson, Kelly, and Lazarus have meticulously attended to the myriad of details during their years of service while never losing sight of keeping students as the focus of our work, while leading and achieving the big picture change and historic progress that we've referenced in the Ann Arbor Public Schools. Trustees, you have served as principled leaders, standing strong in the face of controversy, remaining true to your core values, and keeping our students and staff safe. And I know I and the other 3,000 AAPS team members are deeply indebted to you for keeping our people safe. Can you say yes? We can see who you are and what you believe in the work you leave behind. High-performing trustees make the work of the district stronger, more thoughtful, impactful, and durable. These trustees have fulfilled this primary role of strengthening the work every day of their more than 5,000 days of service. Not always by agreeing, I want to be clear, not always by agreeing with whatever comes in front of them, but rather you have thoughtfully and deeply engaged in the hard work to make the work stronger for our students. I want to turn our attention for a moment to the families. The family of Trustee Johnson, Janelle, Jordan, and Avery. Wave at us. Where are you? Right there. There they are. The family of Trustee Kelly, Steve, Elizabeth, Henry, and William, and Mom and Dad, Sue and Mike. Yay. And the family of Trustee Lazarus, David, Joey, and Rachel. Where are you guys? There they are. I almost didn't recognize Rachel. She's grown up on us. Thank you, families, for your sacrifice in sharing your person with us. We know there were many times over these years when this path was not easy for your family. When these trustees had to at times perhaps miss key moments with you in order to serve other people's children. We want you to know that we understand in very real ways, families, that you have served the Ann Arbor Public Schools And we appreciate so much your sacrifice and your partnership in sharing their talents and gifts with us. Yes, thank you, families. Trustee Johnson, Trustee Kelly, and President Lazarus, our Ann Arbor Public Schools community owes you a debt of gratitude for your service to our children, our schools, and our future as a strong Ann Arbor community. In a time when the idea of service for the sake of others is challenged on every level in our communities and across our country, you have personified and lived this important precept of our democracy. Trustee Johnson, Kelly, and Lazarus, you leave a lasting legacy of leadership in the Ann Arbor Public Schools on the Board of Education. We wish you the rich reward of those who work hard and invest themselves for a purpose bigger than themselves. We wish you the satisfaction of a job well done. And we commit to continue to work together to build on the work you have achieved and to see it as a foundation for our next steps moving forward in the Ann Arbor Public Schools. So I know that, we haven't had an event for 3 years. And so isn't this just a beautiful crowd and a great night? And I'll tell you, they're here because of the work you've done to lead on our governance board. So we have a few folks that want to add their remarks to ours, and then we'll move around to the three of you eventually. Very good. So where shall we begin, team? I know I can call some names if I need to. Folks who talk to me, I'm not meaning I'm volunteering them. Folks who reached out to me to be on the list. So I know Don Linden and Emil Lautzana are on that list. So speak from where you are, or better yet, come to the microphone. We're learning this building. So, okay, very good.
How are you? Thank you. Hello, it's my pleasure. So tough to follow that, Dr. Swift. Your thanks were really poignant and well-deserved. So I just want to add mine. And this is an opportunity for teaching and learning. I represent our entire team to share our gratitude for your leadership. I've prepared some remarks, and although I don't have the power and authority to make a proclamation, I've prepared one tonight. So here we go. Whereas Trustees Johnson, Kelly, and Lazarus have exhibited exemplary leadership in the face of unprecedented challenge. Whereas they have acted always in the best interests of our students and with full and deep understanding that all means all. Whereas these trustees have given tirelessly of their time, their experience, and their life balance and moments with family in service to the Ann Arbor Public Schools. Whereas they have navigated an entire community across treacherous terrain, all while leading with calm, with wisdom, and with conviction. Whereas Trustees Johnson, Kelly, and Lazarus have left a lasting and positive imprint on this district and in the lives of each student and staff member we serve, we resolve to be forever grateful and to keep moving forward in carrying on our shared vision and our work to expand our understanding of those we serve, to create environments and experiences that affirm, validate, and celebrate each student for the masterpieces that they are. Thank you for your service.
So beautiful, Miss Linden. You probably didn't realize that resolutions are the love language of trustees. So that was brilliant. Didn't y'all appreciate that? That's what they spend time doing, is resolutions. All right, I think Mr. Lautzana is coming, and I want to wrap back to one thing. Will you join me in thanking the family of Trustee Lazarus? I see David and Joey have joined Rachel. Give them a big hand and a big thank you. We want to thank you for sharing your mom and spouse with us. She's done extraordinary work for other people's children while she's missed time with you all, and we're deeply grateful. Thank you. All right, did I lose Mr. Lotzana? Oh, here he is. All right, very good. Come on.
Good evening, everybody. I did not prepare a remark, so apologies if this is a little impromptu, but thank you all for really doing the thankless job. It's wonderful to be here and to be able to thank you publicly for all the work that you do. I know you get lots of emails and communications about troubles, worries, problems, and I know that weighs on you, and thank you also to your families, because I know it's a big sacrifice. I've spent a lot of time in front of the three of you with a lot of items. I try probably 100 items. I don't know, a lot of FaceTime. And one of the things I learned from a mentor of mine was to try to understand each trustee so that when they're asking questions and clarifications, you kind of know where they're coming from. And so Trustee Kelly was on the board when I started at Ann Arbor School about 6 years ago. And I didn't really I was trying to figure her out. And then one day she showed up in a Girl Scout uniform. And something in my mind clicked. And then I saw, well, okay, she takes really meticulous notes. She writes out all of her questions. And if somebody asks the same question before her, she checks it off her list. She's extremely organized and really contributes to the work with her questioning and inquiry. So we really appreciate that. Trustee Johnson came on the board while I was already here, and I didn't know Brian before his board service. And so I met him for the first time at the first board meeting, and everybody's dressed up. And I'll tell you, Brian can dress up. I mean, this guy was to the nines. He had the tie with the matching handkerchief and the whole thing, shiny shoes, everything. And I thought, oh man, this guy's gonna be trouble. He's gonna wanna take control and tell us what to do, but you know what? He is the nicest guy. Brian is really just a wonderful human being, really nice guy, very passionate about the work, and very supportive of Ann Arbor Public Schools. So thank you, Trustee Johnson. Trustee Lazarus also joined the board while I was here, and I'll remember distinctly, she asked for the entire bid set for the Bryant Pattengill renovation. So I zipped it all up into a giant zip file with 100 pages of drawings and 300 pages of specifications. Sent it to Dr. Swift, she sent it to Trustee Lazarus, and you know what? She read through that stuff and she found a room on that plan, because we were enhancing the daylight in the building, putting in windows, all this good stuff. And she found 2 rooms that didn't have windows and said, hey, what about these 2 rooms? And from that comment, we added some skylights to those rooms, so all rooms in Bryant have natural daylight. And a lot of people may not remember this, but when we were contemplating the bond, we were kicking around, do we go for 500 million, 750, or the full billion? And there was a lot of disagreement between me and Dr. Swift and Mr. Demetriou and others about what the right thing was. 500 million would have been no tax increase. So that was kind of the easy road. But I remember one board meeting where Trustee Lazarus just plain out said it, we should do the billion. Our community will support it. And I was really pleased to hear that. And, so that, thank you for that. And there's like 2 or 3 things that are the hardest things to do in a school district from an administrative standpoint. One is redistricting, which thankfully we haven't had to do that. The other one is new office space for the administration. It's very difficult to do that because the community sees you spending money on yourself. And as we're bringing properties to the bond committee for consideration, Trustee Lazarus saw this building and said, that's the one. That's where we need to be, that part of town, that kind of building, that kind of space. And I'll tell you, when Rebecca sets her mind to something, she gets it done. So thank you for your service. So thank you all for all your work in this thankless endeavor.
Thank you. That's great. When she said to go for the billion, she said it's because without that, the children won't get what they need. And that was right. So to have the courage to follow through when you know what the need is, and then to knock doors until the community agrees with you, wouldn't you say that's transformational and historic work? Yeah. Our children and our children's children will benefit because of the sacrifices and the work that you've invested. Miss Jill Minnick is coming to share some thoughts. And guys, if I have forgotten anyone, current trustees or former trustees, I know some are waiting until the 7 o'clock time period on the Zoom meeting. But I do want to give a shout out while Jill is coming to Naomi Norman, superintendent of the WISD, who's joined us. Yay, Naomi. And George and Fred, I just want to give you a shout. Oh, they were here. Just this second, he knew I was going to call him out. Fred and George, thank you for being here. It's so great to see you. Yeah, we haven't been together at an event in 3 years. Isn't it weird? Yeah, it's been strange. So, Miss Minnick, come on down.
Good evening. Thank you, everyone, for coming out this evening, and thank you for an opportunity to add a few comments. Boy, unlike Emil and Dawn or others, you were all here when I rejoined Ann Arbor. And I had heard, while I was interviewing, that we had trustees that were very keen and experienced and brought a lot of expertise in the areas of business and finance and construction and a lot of the things that would fall under my purview. And I found that very intriguing. I've worked for a number of districts, and I was excited to understand what was being brought to the table. And so I remember even in my first interview with Trustee Lazarus, I was very impressed with what you brought as a trustee to the table, and the interview and the conversation almost that we had during that time. And I just want to share that I've not worked with trustees that have been so engaged and really, really in the heart interested in the work. And I really appreciate that. The conversations and the critical thinking questions that you've brought to the board table, I've worked with you on the Finance Committee and the Bond Committee and the Environmental Sustainability Task Force, and even just in general open Board of Education meetings. I very much appreciate your questions and the inquiries and the discussions. It makes the work for our team better. I always bring that back to our team, and we have those conversations and think about different ways to analyze the numbers and moving forward in different facets of the operations of the district. So I very much appreciate that, and it will be truly missed. So thank you so much for your service to this community and our students and families, and I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Guys, have we missed anyone? I'm not applying pressure. I just want to make sure that we've not missed anyone. I want to show you the presents. Don't you want to see the gifts? A small token of our deep gratitude. So many of you know Emily, art teacher extraordinaire. We have about 1,000 of them, but one of them is Emily Feinberg, who is at King and Angel. I'm saying that off the top of my head, but I think I'm right. And her kinders did a series of sunflowers in the style of Van Gogh. Kinders. Sunflowers in the style of Van Gogh. So we hope, I know that you have art collections because we love sharing our children's artwork, but I hope you will especially appreciate, and the quote says, don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds that you plant. And that certainly represents your time as trustees. So I'll put these down before I break them. But they're for you. And then the tile is the iconic Matawi tile. This is Tree Town. We believe in trees, don't we? And the I want to say this right, so give me 1 second to find it. The significance of the tree is an Indian proverb, which is, "Blessed are those who plant trees under whose shade they will not sit." And so that is hopefully your reminder when you see that wherever you set it, that you have a lot of trees growing for future generations because of your work. So with that, if there's anyone else who would like to speak, we'd love to have you. And then we'll also invite the trustees to share. Does that sound okay? All right. And then you must promise to turn around and eat all of that food because, again, we haven't had a gathering or any food for 3 years. So, I think we toss a box dinner at them on Wednesday night, but we haven't had real food. So I hope that you will not leave a crumb behind before you go. So trustees, come on down and share any thoughts that you have. Save some for 7 p.m. though, too. So you've got 2 times.
Well, I know Dr. Swift asked, but I just want to confirm there's nobody else who'd like to say nice things about us? Anybody? Anybody? Okay. You don't have to sign up ahead of time. You can, okay. Well, I know Dr. Swift, gave a beautiful rundown of the incredible work that this district has accomplished over the years, and she made it sound like it was about us, and it's not. It's really about the work of a community who came together to serve children. And so what I would like to say is nothing, it's a thank you list. I'd like to thank Ms. Osinski and Ms. Soderberg who made this event special. I'd like everybody to thank them. They've put all this together. And for the support that they give the board every day, right? They really make this level of work happen, and so thank you to them. I want to thank the entire district leadership team and their groups who, on a normal day, chop the wood and carry the water and provide extraordinary education. But in these past 3 unprecedented years, they have worked tirelessly, and sometimes very tiredly, to put health and safety first for our community. To Mr. Klein, Ms. Bell, all of the teachers and staff who bring the best of themselves every day to the classroom in service of children, thank you. That is what education is. To our community partners and our district associations for being the collective village. You all help us better serve children. To Dr. Swift, who has modeled that you can have a tender heart and a passion for education while also leading an organization as massive and impactful as a large public school district. There's a reason that Dr. Swift was the 2018 Michigan Superintendent of the Year. It is not because of her leadership in spite of her heart, but because her heart guides the way she leads. We recognize that women are underrepresented in this role, but I believe that Dr. Swift has created the model for how it can and should be done. Thank you. Thank you to my friends and family, especially my husband Steve and my parents Mike and Sue, who always make sure that my kids were taken care of when I was away serving the children of the district. My mom said once, if we want mothers to be in places where decisions are made, we need a village. Thank you to my village. To the former trustees, Stead, Lightfoot, Nelson, Manley, who taught me how to be a trustee and had patience with me while I learned. Thank you. To the current and future trustees who make sacrifices every day to ensure that our students and staff and community are well served. There is nothing more important to me as I transition out of this role than to make sure that you all are successful because your success as a board determines the success of our schools. And a huge thank you to everyone here tonight, to all of you who believe in public education and fight to make sure that it survives whatever political and social challenges arise. Leaders throughout history, from Horace Mann to Abraham Lincoln to Elizabeth Warren, have talked about the promise of public education, that it is the great equalizer, the cornerstone of our country, and the promise of opportunity for all children. These things are perhaps more true today than they were in some of those early times of our country's history because of the dedication of this community and its leaders to ensure that we won't rest until the barriers have been broken and the promise is fulfilled. Now, I know this sounds a little bit like an award speech at the Oscars, so I'm sorry, but it feels like that in a way to me because serving this community has been an incredible honor and its own reward. So before they bring up the music to kick me out, I'm just going to say thank you again to everyone who has served in these roles to make the list of what Dr. Swift described really manifest. So thank you. Thank you for being here tonight.
So, as Jessica finished her remarks, I say to Rebecca, I said, "You want to go?" And she says, "You go." And then I went, which is kind of how our whole relationship has been from the beginning. No, so just like Trustee Kelly, I want to start with a few things, and I'll try not to be redundant. She gave a lot of things that I would also echo. First off, I want to thank Ann Arbor Public Schools, and probably not for the reason that you all think, but it's because that's where I got my start. I'm a product of this district. My parents are products of this district. And so it's been a pleasure, and I mean that in so many different ways, but it's been a pleasure and an honor to serve the Ann Arbor Public Schools. I also want to thank my community where I grew up, Pine Lake Village Cooperative. If anybody's been there, that's where I grew up from age 5 until I graduated high school. And I wanted to be part of the school district. I wanted to help kids like myself when I was about 19 years old, right after I graduated. So this has been a bit of a full circle moment for me, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the folks in that community. We're still a family to this day, so I'd be remiss if I didn't mention them first and foremost. Next, my family, of course, which above all, they deserve the most credit. I'd like to say to my daughters, Jordan and Avery, thank you for just putting up with me being gone a lot. Avery, I'm sorry, because she wanted me to run for for re-election. She likes me being on the board. Jordan's like hiding out and doesn't want anybody to know because they ask her if we're gonna have a snow day. So thank you both. Janelle, thanks so much. I remember when I was talking about being on the board, she was like, "Are you sure?" And then I said, "Yeah, I think so." And then she said, "No, are you really sure?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think so." And then she's like, "Well, I support you if you want to run." And she hasn't wavered in her support. She's often a someone that will share her opinion because she's also a teacher, right? So she shares her opinion about stuff, but she's always been great about just not crossing the line. When I go home, I'm a husband, I'm not a board member and not a trustee. And so I appreciate that because it's hard enough being a trustee without being a husband who's a trustee. So thank you for that. I'd like to thank those who I served with on the board, and Jessica mentioned a few of our former trustees. Simone Lightfoot, who I had so many incredible conversations with, especially as she was transitioning off the board, and just wisdom that she shared. Glenn Nelson, who did the same. Glenn also was just, you talk about knocking doors, and we talked about the bond. Like, Glenn was someone that was with us the whole time as if he was still a trustee. Glenn stepped in when we had someone that resigned from the board and served extra time. And I remember, I think it was, I'm trying to think of who it was. I think it was, gonna try to remember. No, it wasn't Harmony. I'm thinking of Jenna. It was Jenna who talked about Glenn having the extra in his name because he does extra. And so, and I always remember that. And he does extra. So shout out to Glenn for that. Also, I just like to thank these two. Really, when I walked in as a trustee, I was vice president and very quickly was president, and felt like we as an executive team should be involved kind of at the hip. And because of that, I can honestly say these two have become my friends. And a lot of times I'm like, what are we gonna do? Like, will we still hang out? Like, don't ditch me if we're not on the board anymore. But we've, people have talked about a lot of the challenges that we've been through, historic challenges that we've been through. It was their partnership and the partnership of the rest of the trustees, but mostly their partnership because of our role on exec, and because we had to be able to really quickly meet and discuss different things. But when Dr. Swift mentions that we don't always agree, I also love that we don't always agree. Like, I can run over people with my opinion if they're not strong. These two are very strong. So we were very much about, iron sharpening iron, working together, and just doing it in a selfless way. And I think, some people have probably call all of us politicians. I've never felt like a politician. I felt like a servant, like this is service. And there's a reason why we were able to be steadfast in a lot of those crises, and actually literal crises in many cases. It was because we just wanted to serve. And we were thinking about all of the kids in the district. And we weren't thinking about one faction or another as we did that. We weren't listening to just the loudest voices. We were soberly looking through what the information that we had, understanding that we'd never have perfect information, listening to the emotional appeals, absolutely, but at the end of the day, just really trying to make the decision that we felt was best. We didn't always get it 100% right, I'm sure, and as history will tell it, maybe there will be something that we really messed up on, but I can say, at the time, we made the best decision that we could with the information that we had. And so thank you all. Thank you. And last but not least, Dr. Swift, it's funny when you're running for a board seat, you have this superintendent who in many cases ends up being kind of the villain when you're on the campaign trail. And I remember having a lot of ideas and understanding of different topics. And I remember walking in and talking to Dr. Swift and actually getting all the information and understanding the enormity of the job. And this is a wonderful steward to handle a job that's that enormous. So thank you so much. Your heart, the heart that you bring is very well appreciated by us. And I just want to thank, again, last but not least, just the community. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for supporting us.
I know everybody's getting tired of standing, and you have a lot of food behind you to eat, so I'll be very brief. I just want to say thank you all for coming tonight, and I just want to first and foremost say thank you to my family. See, I'm not going to make it through it. We've missed a lot of dinners. We've missed a lot of time. I've watched the picture the day we were sworn in. I can't even recognize my children. It's just amazing that they've grown up that much over this very short period. But I want to also echo what Trustee Johnson said, is that Dr. Swift, you are the hardest working superintendent in this district, in the nation, I believe. And you're misunderstood sometimes, you are vilified in the media, but be assured that we know the difference. We know that you work tirelessly for this district and for every single student and for every staff member in this district, and I thank you for that.
Thank you.
I appreciate having the opportunity to work with Trustee Basquette, Trustee Dupree, Trustee Gaynor, and Trustee Carajero, and the past trustees, Trustee Nelson, Simone Lightfoot. I've learned so much. I've learned so much from all of them, and I appreciate their friendship, and I appreciate their work that they're going to do and continue to do and keep this district safe and running. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the staff. The staff, you guys are the hardest working, because you got the hardest working superintendent. So you guys have spent hours. It's so amazing what you do every day to keep this district and our students safe. I came from a very small district in the thumb of Michigan, and the opportunities and the love and the caring, not saying that they didn't, but kids here, they're very, very lucky. And it's amazing to see a district run like this and have this huge machine run so smoothly, and we appreciate that. I appreciate the community for their ongoing support of the bonds. The district, it falls on our communities to support our schools and our infrastructure, and our community has come through like a champ. And it wasn't a number that scared me when we were presented. I think it was the first committee meeting there, or the first study session that we had. And because I looked at the data. This district, the team, they provide good data, strong data. They're not asking trustees to make decisions in the dark. So when I looked at the data, it was very obvious what we needed to ask the community for. And there was no question in my mind, and that's what the community did. So, and I appreciate the staff going out and on the campaign trail answering question after question, and the community asking it, and then ultimately passing it. So thank you very much for that. Brian and Jessica, I couldn't have done it without you. I just can't say anything more than we worked great as a team. We did have disagreements at times, but it was a pleasure serving with you, and I hope we continue to be friends even after the service here. So I continue to stay connected to this district. My number, my email is all stay the same. I love this district, so please stay in touch. Thank you.
If you guys will just stand there and look official, Mr. Cluley, you're getting the right photos before they break up, or where is he? There he is. Good. And will you join me while they're posing? I need to get out of the way, Andrew. So okay, you're doing it from that direction. All right. Amy Osensky did the work to get us all together. Amy, step out and let everybody thank you. Thank you. Did you get enough? All right, very good. All right, well, I think it's recess now for about 15 minutes, so it's great to see you all and mill about and eat some food, and thank you for being a part of this community and gathering this evening to honor these beautiful trustees. Thank you.